There's something about the 1970s that just felt simpler. Back then, the kitchen was the heart of the home, full of avocado-colored appliances, Formica countertops, and the sweet hum of dinner being made from scratch, or at least pulled from the freezer with love. Food wasn't just about eating, it was an experience. A TV dinner on a tray felt like fine dining, and opening a can of Vienna sausages felt like a mini picnic. If you were a kid in the 70s, you'd probably remember those supermarket runs with your parents. You'd tug at their sleeve, eyes wide, begging for that one snack, the one that made you feel like the coolest kid on the block. Whether it came in neon packaging, fizzed on your tongue, or looked like it came straight from a spaceship, these foods made growing up in the 70s taste like magic. Today, we re-flipping through the old pantry of time and remembering 12 iconic foods every 1970s kid begged their parents for. 1. Space food sticks. Astronaut fuel in your lunchbox? In the 70s, space was everything. From lunchboxes to TV shows, kids were obsessed with rockets, moon landings, and NASA heroes. So when Pillsbury introduced space food sticks, chewy little rods of protein and sugar, modeled after snacks eaten by astronauts, every kid wanted a bite. It came wrapped like science experiments and tasted like the future. Chocolate, caramel, peanut butter, and more. Even if they weren't delicious by today's standards, it didn't matter. You weren't eating a snack. You were living out your own space mission at the lunch table. Parents loved that they were nutritional, and kids loved that they could pretend to be Neil Armstrong. Sadly, space food sticks drifted out of orbit by the 80s, but their legend remains cosmic. 2. Jell-O 1, 2, 3. A science experiment you could eat. Nothing said mom's trying something new quite like Jell-O. 1 minus 2 minus 3. It was a gelatin dessert that promised 3 magical layers from just one mix. Pour it in a glass, pop it in the fridge, and like magic, you'd get a creamy mousse layer, a fluffy middle, and a classic Jell-O bottom. It was a science project and dessert rolled into one, and it felt like culinary wizardry. For kids, watching it set was half the fun. Layers made it look like something from outer space, and the texture was unlike anything else in the fridge. It came in all the classic flavors: cherry, orange, raspberry, and every spoonful felt like 3 treats in one. It disappeared by the mid-90s, but for 70s kids, it was the showstopper of any family potluck. 3. TV dinners. Fancy eating without the fuss. There was something thrilling about peeling back that foil tray and seeing all the little compartments perfectly laid out. It's a slab of Salisbury steak here, mashed potatoes with a butter pat there, and maybe, just maybe, a tiny brownie in the corner. For 70s kids, TV dinners were luxury. You didn't have to sit at the table, no napkin under your chin. You got to sit on the shag carpet, in front of the TV, watching the Brady Bunch, or Happy Days, while eating your own dinner. The compartmentalized tray made it feel like an astronaut's meal or a mini airline service. Swanson led the pack, but brands like Banquet and Morton followed suit. And while mom might have felt guilty not cooking from scratch, kids begged for TV dinners, because eating dinner with the TV was the whole point. 4. Temps. Breakfast of the cosmos. Before Capri Sun and juice boxes took over, there was Tang, the powdered orange drink that took breakfast to infinity and beyond. Tang was marketed as the drink of astronauts, which meant any kid with a glass of Tang was basically one small sip away from the moon. You'd scoop the powder into a pitcher, add water, and suddenly the kitchen smelled like citrus and imagination. It was sweet, a little tangy, and packed such an electric orange color it could stain the countertop, or your sibling's shirt. It made plain old orange juice seem boring. In fact, in homes where fresh juice wasn't affordable or practical, Temps was the juice. And for 70s kids who wanted to feel cool without coffee, it was the drink of choice. Even though it still exists today, it doesn't hold the same stardust. 5. Fun dip. Candy you could play with long before TikToks and smartphones. Kids had to invent their own fun. Enter Fun Dip, a candy you didn't just eat, you interacted with. Each pouch came with 2 or 3 packets of bright sour powder and a sweet edible dipping stick called the Lick-a-Sticks. The routine was a sacred ritual. Lick the stick, dip it in the powder, suck, repeat. Eventually the stick got soggy, and you'd just dump the powder into your mouth like a sugar waterfall. It was messy, colorful, and totally parent-approved. Sort of. Fun Dip turned every recess into a rainbow-colored carnival, and trading flavors at lunch was serious business. If you had the blue raspberry, you were the king of the cafeteria. 6. Swanson pot pies. A pie just for you on cold evenings. Few things hit the spot like a bubbling hot Swanson pot pie straight from the oven. Golden crust, creamy filling, tender bits of chicken and vegetables. It was comfort food in its coziest form. But the best part, every kid got their own. No cutting slices, no sharing. It was all yours. Eating that flaky pie while watching cartoons or reading comic books felt like grown-up luxury. Moms liked them because they were easy. Kids loved them because they made dinner feel special. And even if you burned your tongue on the first bite, it was always worth it. Well, 7. Vienna sausages, the canned delicacy. Those tiny cans packed with mini sausages may look odd to kids today, but in the 70s, they were kind of a big deal. Soft, salty, and shelf-stable, Vienna sausages were cheap, easy, and strangely addictive. For lunch, on road trips, or even at Grandma's house, popping open a can of Vienna sausages meant snack time had arrived. You could spear them with a toothpick like a fancy appetizer, or mash them into crackers with a squirt of mustard. Some kids found them gross, others couldn't get enough. But either way, every pantry had a can or two ready for action. 8. Pop Rocks. The candy that talked back. Pop Rocks were the definition of cool in the candy aisle. Pour some in your mouth, and suddenly you were part of a live fireworks show. The fizzing, crackling sensation was unlike anything else. A science experiment you could taste. Rumors flew around schoolyards. Pop Rocks would explode your stomach if you drank soda afterward. That only made kids want them more. Grape, cherry, watermelon, each flavor had its own sound. You didn't just eat Pop Rocks, you experienced them. 9. Koogle. Peanut butter goes groovy. Imagine peanut butter, but with a twist. In the early 70s, Kraft introduced Koogle, a flavored peanut spread in wild options like banana, cinnamon, vanilla, and chocolate. It had a fun cartoon mascot and came in a chunky plastic jar that stood out on the shelf. Kids couldn't get enough. Koogle turned ordinary PB&J into dessert, spread it on toast, crackers, or just eat it with a spoon. No one was judging. Sadly, it vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, but for a moment it made breakfast exciting again. 10. Choco'Lite bars. Bubbles you could eat. Choco'Lite wasn't just a chocolate bar. It was chocolate with air. It's bubbly, light, and melt in your mouth, soft. It felt like eating chocolate clouds. The bar itself had a unique look. Little rectangular puffs, kind of like a chocolate waffle. Kids loved the way it cracked apart. It made a satisfying snap. Never gained the same fame as Hershey's or Mars, but those who remember it miss it dearly. Like so many great 70s snacks, it came and went like a dream. 11. Hostess pudding pies. Hidden treasure inside. Imagine biting into a golden crust and finding rich, velvety pudding waiting inside. That's what made Hostess pudding pies so beloved. They were pocket-sized pastries filled with chocolate, vanilla, or banana cream. Unlike fruit pies, these felt decadent. You didn't need a fork or plate. Just tear the wrapper, take a bite, and wipe the pudding off your face before Mom noticed. Lunchboxes across America prayed for one of these to appear, and when they did, best day ever. 12. Tab. The soda you weren't supposed to like. Tab was marketed to adults, especially women watching their figures. But that didn't stop curious kids from wanting a taste. Its bold pink can, funky name, and artificial sweetener gave it a rebellious edge. The flavor was different. Definitely not Coke. But if your mom drank Tab, you had to try it. It was the kind of soda you sipped while pretending to be older, cooler, and in charge, and that made it unforgettable. The 1970s were full of wonder, and that included what we ate. These foods weren't just snacks, they were memories.
Yes.
Each bite held a story, a Saturday morning or a summer afternoon spent chasing the ice cream truck. Some of these treats still exist in some form, while others live only in our memories and old commercials. But they all remind us of a time when joy came wrapped in foil, boxed in cardboard, or stirred with a plastic spoon. Which one of these did you beg your parents for? Let us know in the comments below. And if this trip back in time made you smile, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and keep reliving the good old days with us. Thanks for watching American Rewind. See you next time.